a letters game up and they'd say the max was 7, but my brain had convinced myself that there was an 8, even though it clearly said there's only a 7, but my brain spent all day trying to find a non-existent 8.
Yeah.
And I thought that was definitely time for a break. I suppose we did 4 series of Zoom Down. We did Champions of Champions, which they're all very, very successful. But it was a hard 2 years, I suppose, in that regard. But anyway,
some people in the chat, Paul, that apparently the stream was delayed starting, so they're only just sort of catching up to us now. So they might have missed your lovely music.
My intro, I see. Right. Oh well, sure. It's all very casual. It was all very ad hoc. This. Something that I suppose we wanted to do and maybe continue for sort of ongoing series. So obviously the next one, Class of 87. And we'll talk about that later, who we know maybe might be in that series, but we'll concentrate on Series 86 tonight. And we'll start with the most important people at any series finals, Callum, and that's the reserves. Being a reserve myself, they are the glue that binds all the other ones together. Mm-hmm. And I suppose who will we go to? Well, we'll go to the reserve. That's Reserve Square. That's John Aziz. How are you doing?
Hi, Paul. I'm not too bad. I'm currently staying in Palo Alto, California with my wife. So it's a different sort of Christmas to ones in the past, but it's really exciting to be joining you.
You've got a nice tan. You've got a nice winter tan going on there, I see.
Well, yeah. There's a little bit more sun here than in the UK or in Ireland, certainly.
Certainly, indeed. Lovely place. So, are you doing a bit of surfing? You've been in the water and all that?
Not yet. I mean, I wasn't particularly planning on doing any surfing, but now that you suggest it,
have to. It's de rigueur. You have to. But anyway, so tell us about your countdown experience, because you just missed out.
Yeah, my countdown experience. I suppose it's important to start at the end. So I set what was the I think it was about a 20-year record for the highest losing score in a preliminary, which was 110. I lost what was to me was a extremely stressful but also quite exciting game with Shad Chokdar, who, you know, he came out and played a blinder and deservingly took home a teapot and knocked me out. I wasn't particularly happy losing losing in the way I did, because it felt like I got really close to being an Octo champ and getting to the finals. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. It's a game of very fine margins at times. It's a game of very, very, very fine swings at times, and you can end up losing very easily. Two bad rounds and it can be over. How
many wins did you get? Many wins did you finish up on?
Five wins, and I finished on 617. So I was on pace for 800 club. Was probably hoping to get third or fourth seed. Whether I could have passed Quinn's total, I don't know if I'd been able to carry on. Mm-hmm. But I was hoping for third or fourth seed and maybe getting to a semi-final. And I think I would have been happy with that as my countdown career had I had I made it to a semi-final and lost to Tom or Ed. That would have been ideal. I would have been pretty happy with that. But it didn't work out like that, and so I was the reserve. But it was a fun 3 days in Manchester.
So talk to us about that experience. People watching have never been to a finals. They don't know what it means to be the reserve. So in the finals, how did it all pan out for you?
It didn't. Well, obviously I wasn't playing, so I was sort of.
You've got a different role then, haven't you? You've got more of a support role, haven't you?
I was sitting in the green room, sort of playing along with people, enjoying the show, trying to talk to the other contestants, trying to console people who lost a bit, trying to say supportive things, because everyone who did get the finals had done a really, really impressive thing. So it was really, really a pleasure to meet them all and to learn about them as people. And you get 3 days in the Holiday Inn in Salford Keys, so that's always exciting.
But then you go to California afterwards and let your back recover, don't you? Those beds, they're not the best. They're not the best sleeps you'll ever have, are they? Really?
It's very interesting. Like I was talking to Ed Byrne about this. I spent quite a lot of time with Ed Byrne at the start, and practicing against each other. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to play, but every single Countdown legend has been through that hotel.
Yeah.
or at least I suppose if they live in Manchester, they don't go to the hotel, but pretty much all of them, right?
Jammy gets who don't have to, I think, isn't it?
But it's fascinating to think all the best players over the recent, since they moved to Salford from Leeds, have been through that hotel.
You probably got a better night's sleep, Callum, in Leeds, wouldn't you, than back in the day?
Well, I don't know, but I'm a Yorkshireman, so if I can get a free night in a hotel, I'll have it.
You'll take it. You'll take it, hard bed or no, you'll take it. Yeah. So yeah, John. I mean, it's a mad experience, but there's no room for envy in this game. It's not like the reserves. We're not jealous types. We're not.
I wasn't jealous. I was hoping to play, definitely. I mean, but
so you're for some late illness, are you? Last minute illness that someone gets struck down or something.
I would say that for me, I'm probably in a situation more of a reapplication in like 5-10 years, to be honest, because I probably went on the show a bit too early. If you compare like how long Tom Stevenson and Ed Byrne have been playing on Apterus to how long I've been playing, I really at the time I went on the show, I've probably been playing on Apterus about 6-7 months.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Byrne's been like there like 8 or 9 years, right? Tom's been there for years as well. I think Tom had like it was Spike Nard or something. He had a pseudonym.
Outed Spike. You've been outed. Yeah, there we go. That's it. Outed. Jerry doesn't mind that. So, Ronan's been on there for however many years. Date was on there for however many years. All the top players. Ahmed, he was James Wynn for many years. So, I had only been on there for a fairly short period of time, and I went on too early, and I probably hopefully if I can get another opportunity, then I might be able to do a bit better and maybe see a finals. But if I don't, I don't. Countdown's a great game, but there's also real life. Real life gets in the way of games sometimes. Yeah, you're a musician as well, so yeah, it's a man after my own heart. So you have at least 2 passions in your life.
Yeah, I'm a musician, and that's very important to me. But I'm studying statistics and data science in university, so I'm go on.
Fascinating.
I'm very interested in being able to use those to help people. You see a lot of homeless people out on the streets in America. Mm-hmm. You really do. Like I'd like to be able to use tools and statistics to be able to analyze what causes those problems. How to solve those problems, because I hate seeing all the homeless people every time I come here.
That's an interesting way to view stats. Yeah, no, sorry, excuse my facetiousness there. That was just a little private joke. But yeah, I mean, it's you've been a very memorable character from this series. So we'll talk to you later about. I want to talk to you in a little while about the hosts that you've had, all of you have had. But I want to come to the other reserve. So Rick Singh, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Paul. How are you? And
was John not doing a good enough job or something? Did they need to replace the reserve? Is this what it was?
So I was quite lucky, actually. I met John in the green room to watch. I think it was Alan's quarter final. John was beating me in the green room as well when we were playing together. So I, it's I think a message to all your listeners is that if I can make it at least to a reserve space, then I mean anyone who's at least a recreational player can make it, because I am a recreational player. I'm not sort of a countdown sort of not, I wouldn't say obsessive, but I would say a very keen enthusiast. Are
you a long time viewer, John or Rick? Sorry.
The first show. I watched the first show in 1982.
So did I.
It was the first. I guess the 4th channel that came on air and there was only 3 at that time, so it was quite a new thing. There was no internet or Amazon Prime or Netflix, so it was quite a brilliant thing to have 4 channels instead of 3. And that was the first show on Channel 4. And I really enjoyed the Countdown experience. It's the first thing I did when I retired is I applied to Countdown. And
you don't look old enough to be retired. You're retired. Wow.
That was in August, and it was great. I got auditioned, I got in, and then I had an absolutely fantastic time. Me and my wife went to Salford to stay there, and then they went again because they film, like, every fortnight or something. And then the next time we went, I sort of made it to the 7th episode. I had won 6, and then I came across Peter Burke, who's won all the episodes since that. Spoiler alert, but absolutely.
The incumbent. This is the incumbent. Yeah, he's good, isn't he? He's good. Don't fancy whoever has to face him next season, because he's a good player. He's unlucky that he didn't come on a couple of episodes earlier, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I got 6.
But good for you. Good for you, I suppose, that he didn't either as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, we got to the conundrum in the end, and I was ahead, but I didn't get the conundrum. He got that, but I think
he was rapid. He was rapid. I was very impressed with his conundrums.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I enjoyed it so much that I didn't feel any disappointment of going out at all. And it was a slight blessing, because if I had won that one, I would have been maybe deposing Lewis in seed number 8, and then I would have been annihilated by Tom. So it wasn't. It's a funny
one. It's a funny one, this game, but because everyone, I think it might have been used to this column or something. But everyone that wins is destroying the dreams of the person that they beat. You're ruining someone's countdown dreams to fulfill your own, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a shame. It just costs us so many good players that obviously there can only be one series champion, there can only be 8 finalists, and sometimes they like the heat games. There can only be one winner of that game, and maybe neither of them will end up in there.
Yeah, and some of us get a tough draw, isn't that right, Rick? As well. I faced Jamie Wing on my 7th game, and that stopped me from becoming an Octo champ. But it made me the reserve, and it's an interesting role, I think, because I saw myself as the glue and the one that's just to keep everyone else sort of feeling loose, prepared to play a good game,
Yeah, one of the great advantages of the reserves is that you get to watch, because I was in the studio when Tom had his first quarterfinal, and also Ed had his first quarterfinal. So it was great to watch it live, and because you have to be there in case, I don't know, just in case someone is not available. But it was
unfortunately it never happens. They always have a clean bill of health, don't they? They fulfill their fixtures, but there's always a little bit of hope. There's always a little bit of hope.
Yeah. No, but we loved it all. Me and my wife both, we loved it. And the hotel was fantastic. Met all the contestants the next day at breakfast as well.
That's nearly the best thing, isn't it? The social aspect of this game is far more important, I think, than the actual gameplay. I mean, you tend to make friends for life.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of you all have the crack. Anybody else want to come in here? Any stories of crack between you? The camaraderie? Throwing it open to the floor.
There was great camaraderie in the green room when they were filming. It was fantastic watching everyone sort of playing along.
Sorry, John, you actually had a proper green room this time. It wasn't everyone confined to the rooms.
Yes, there was a green room for the second day. For the first day with Ed and Tom quarterfinals, there was no green room. I didn't actually watch it because I went to be the reserve, but then Rick displaced me, so I was just wandering around Manchester with my wife that day. But Rick got to watch from his room, but then the next day there was a green room, and I was in it from first to last. I was in it from the start of the third quarterfinal with Quinn and Darren to the final itself. I watched everything. I played along with everything, and I was just sort of like, it was amazing because I was meeting lots of really good countdown players, and just taking it all in before everyone else got to see it on TV. So everyone was really positive and encouraging of other people, and really, it was a kind and friendly and like fraternal atmosphere.
It is. I mean, and it sort of has, sometimes Countdown has a sort of maybe slightly undeserved reputation as sort of being a little bit nerdy. But I mean, I've always embraced my inner nerd. Always, it's a good thing. But I think people don't realize the actual social aspect of the game as well. They may assume we're all just a bunch of big nerds and we don't socialize much. But there's definitely that element, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ed Byrne he's definitely a very social person.
He likes a social occasion or two or three. He does, yeah.
Extroverted. So I spent quite a time with him in the pub practicing. But
practicing.
Matt Allen.
What were you practicing in the pub? Your orders?
Countdown.
Countdown, right? Okay, right, yeah.
He
is like that. I went to the pub with him about a month ago. We were at a thing in RTE to see. It was Rachel was on Angela Scanlon's show.
He told me about that.
And so we went on the piss, and yeah, Eddie, as soon as we get pissed, he starts whipping our anagrams and stuff like that. So it's like,
yeah, he wanted to play again.
He what?
When we were in the pub. He wanted to play against me, so we played some games.
I usually like to keep my drinking and my countdown separate, but that is just me, maybe too much of an alcoholic for that. But anyway, lads, really, really, really good to talk to you. And we're gonna move on to assuming the youngest of our finalists, Lewis Castling-Murray.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm assuming you are the youngest. Am I right, or is it Joe?
I'm not too sure. I was reminded of how young I was throughout the series. But
when you get to my age, you're all just young. Yeah, so that's it. How was your experience? How was your experience of Countdown?
Oh, incredible! Absolutely. From the moment of even applying, auditioning, it was surreal. Absolutely surreal. And to have managed to even got onto the show was just ridiculous. That was my aim. My aim was to pass the audition, to get a show secured, and whatever happens from there happens from there. And
what's your countdown? What's your countdown history? As something we always ask people on the podcast is, what's your earliest countdown memory?
Well, I'll be honest, it's kind of like my parents used to watch it quite a bit. My mum's quite a fan, and to be fair, I think if she would have gone on, she probably would have done better than me. But she's
the talent, that she's where you got the genes from, then, right? Okay.
Sorry, Dad, but absolutely, yeah. But I'd watch it casually, and I love word games and things, and I've always been quite strong in my mental math, and I've always enjoyed it from when I was young. But I had never played Actress. I was never too interested in the competitive. So I'm not necessarily interested. I just wasn't involved with it. So no, to go onto it, it was kind of just like a why not? Give it a go. Like I enjoy it. I find I do okay when playing along. So give it a go and see where I end up. Really, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I tend to enjoy the natural players. Not that we don't all have a natural talent. Some of us work at it a lot more, but I do like to see the players who maybe dip in and out and are kind of just maybe sort of naturally talented. Callum, you'd fall under that category, weren't you? You didn't take it too seriously in the early days, did you?
No, I'd say I've never taken it too seriously.
No.
Like I say, like we were saying, just got into the more competitive aspect of it. I did over the years, yeah. But yeah, it's good to see people who just sort of have an interest in the game itself rather than the competition, but they've got enough sort of natural ability to
be able to compete. Yeah.
Anyway, even if they don't have a competitive nature.
So Lewis, you are a primary school graduate. So you're applying for jobs, is it?
No, so I have got into a job as a teaching assistant at the moment. Because of qualifying, I definitely will go into it in the future. And
congratulations!
Thank you very much.
How's that going for you?
Oh yeah, really well. Really good start, actually. I'm really enjoying it, and I must say that the countdown's given me a bit of a boost when in the interviews I said that right at the end, and their faces were beaming smiles. So I'd like to think it paid off for me, to be honest.
So when you were on, did you have all the people watching, all your aunties and all that? So gets a bit intense, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I had everyone watching, and people were so interested because I'm from Coventry, and a lot of the people I know, I don't know anyone on TV, anyone who's kind of applied for anything. So
we had a Zoom Down Series 4 champion from Coventry, Rachel Montgomery.
Oh, really?
Commentary, yeah. So check out some Zoom now, and you'll see one of your own there. She won the last series. Yeah, it's just great, but you don't realize how popular the game is until you're actually the one on it, and people that you had no idea that would have any interest in Countdown.
Yeah,
Are mentioning and setting their VCR, or for want of a more 2022 term.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's not until I was on it you realise that everyone knows what Countdown is.
Huge, isn't it? It's huge. Yeah. It's such a monster show. People you've never mentioned the show to, and they know, they watch it, or their mother watches it, or their grandmother watches it, or something. You know, it's huge show. But you played a certain Mr. Stevenson, which was bad luck.
Yes, I did. Although I'm not going to count it as bad luck, because it's incredible to take part in like history right in front of your eyes, and to have lost to someone like Tom, you can do nothing but accept it, because he's absolutely incredible. And I don't know if anyone caught this on the show, but whenever I call a point, I give a little punch, or give a little massive smile on my face, because it's not out of disrespect, but it's out of respect, because to even earn points against this man was a massive achievement for me. He was incredible at it, really incredible at it, and he was
you did all right. So you got 44 against him. That's, I mean, I'm not at the level of Tom or Callum or players like that, and they can beat you to zero. If you catch them on the wrong day, they can get you to zero, and you don't want that on the TV. So it's nice to be able to win a couple of rounds, or to get some points on the board.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even the easy number rounds where you get, 10 times 10 for 100, I take it against Tom. Normally, I'm up for the challenge, but against someone like Tom, as much as I was up for the challenge throughout all of it, like, you'll take whatever you can get, because he'll snap your hands off if you give him any opportunity. Some of the work will just...
What you usually find is when you get that's Tom at Tom's level of player is, you could have a 7. They'll have an 8. You could have an 8. They'll have a 9. They always seem to be that just one better, and it's very hard to compete with. Very hard.
I remember actually our first round in the quarterfinal. I got a 7 from what I thought was quite tricky letters, and he said 8, because I was in my mind once I'd written it down, I was like, could I get him here? Could I be the first one to take a round off him? And as soon as he said 8, it was well, that's over, isn't it? And I knew from there what kind of game it was going to be. But again, well done to Tom, because he's been absolutely incredible, and he was really nice. You were talking about the camaraderie earlier. After the quarterfinal, we all stopped and had some cake, and we were speaking to Colin and Rachel, and the atmosphere in the studio, even the people you don't see on screen, is just brilliant. And I wouldn't have had nicer people in the studio. I didn't expect it to be quite that warming, so it was a great experience, really.
Yeah, it's a very great experience. Anyway, my children are just being sent to bed. Do you want to come and say hello, guys? Or are they going to be shy? You're going to be shy? They're going to be too shy. They're going to be too shy tonight. They're only 6 and 5 now. She's 5, so thought they might like to come in and say Happy Christmas, because it's a Christmas. We have a Christmas show tonight. But anyway, maybe when they're older, just want to get them used to these things, that they're normal. It's not, there's nothing unusual by being on the internet and all that. So Lewis, I want to finish up by asking you about Floella Benjamin. Now, I have to say, I was on my break at the time. I was on my enforced countdown break at the time, so I didn't watch any of those ones. I think I might have been painting or fixing a bathroom or something that week. So talk to us about Floella. How did you like her?
Okay. So Floella, the atmosphere was very different.
Was it?
Compared to Colin. I have to say Colin was an absolute natural. With words and the speed he comes up with, some of the wordplay is incredible. And the atmosphere he set was brilliant. So when I had Floella, so I filmed 5 shows on the Monday. That was my 2nd win to my 6th win.
Yeah.
And then I went back for my final 2 games the next day, and that was Floella. And it was very different. It was really nice to meet her. And she was very pleasant, but the atmosphere was very different. I felt like with Colin, it was very calm. He had quite a lot of banter, quite a lot of humour. It was very settling. Whereas Floella, it did seem a bit more very high standards of. You feel like you got quite high expectations, and she was really nice. And I did stop and speak to her afterwards.
Yeah,
two very different hosts, definitely.
She's definitely my generation, and she was like on kids TV when I was a kid. It was Play School. I think if anyone else is old enough to remember, Rick, you might remember Play School. Wasn't she on that?
Yeah, she was, and I was watching it not as a play schooler, but as just someone who was famous.
She was very well known at the time, wasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think the guest hosts were a good idea, or do you think, Lewis, that it sort of made it a little bit about them rather than about the players? Did it feel like that it was about the guest host, those shows?
Okay, that's a good question, actually, because I feel like in my final 2 games, because Colin had been there for my whole journey up until the win, he understood kind of like the journey I'd been on throughout and stuff. Whereas when Floella came in, it was almost like she understood that I'd won so many games to get there, but she hadn't been there. We didn't have like the relationship that me and Colin had, where we kind of met before. We'd spoke a little bit. But
she was making her countdown hosting debut, wasn't she? So it was hard to see that that's not about her or about any of the guest hosts.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I don't blame her. Obviously, she hasn't seen kind of how I'd done, and I obviously went ahead at that point. So that's fair enough. And I did catch Rachel, which I was really grateful for, actually, at the end of both of my last 2 shows. She pointed out at the end of my final win that there was potential for me to be an Octo champ in the next show. And she pointed out the potential for me to get to the finals in my final show. Unfortunately, I did lose, but I did really appreciate Rachel for that. And it's those kind of things that a new host didn't really understand and didn't kind of recognise from before. Whereas I feel Colin was really like invested in the show and what was going on.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, we'll throw it open to the floor then. Anyone else have a guest host while they were on? Anyone?
I had 2. I had
Hi, Joe.
Because I started off with Richard Coles for my first 3, and then I had
Reverend. I caught those shows. I thought he was good.
I thought he was very good. Obviously, I didn't really know any different, but I'd spoken to Tom Roeder, and he said that the person they'd had in the previous day wasn't dealing with the flow of the show so well, and it flowed a lot better with them. Mm-hmm. And then when I went back and had Sir Trevor McDonald, obviously, everyone's so happy to be around him, and there's sort of an aura around him, but it definitely didn't flow as well.
I preferred the Rev to Trev. Now I did.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
although Rev could have done with a few more civvies. He looked like he only had one set of civvies, because normally he used to wear the dog collar all the time and all that. Yeah. So someone said, "Wear your own clothes." What? I don't have many of those.
Yeah. But I wasn't sure how it would come across on screen with Trevor McDonald. Because there was a lot of sort of stop and start in the studio, and I think that did kind of come across on screen as well. I think they did an all right job, but there was a lot of him going to the wrong person and not really knowing what was happening next. But
I think the job of a formal newscaster is very different to a presenter who has to work with people. They're working with an auto cue and delivering it with gravitas. It's very different than dealing with some contestants and some celebrities and some celebrity in Dictionary Corner at the time as well. I mean, hosting is a very different job.
I'd tell you what as well, him having Bobby Seagull in Dictionary Corner, that was an interesting dynamic. He was sort of...
Was that when Trev was on?
Yeah. He was going over, he was very excited and going over and asking for a selfie before each show. That was quite funny to watch.
Yeah, because he's sort of become quite sort of famous quite recently, hasn't he? Yeah. He's still still giddy with the excitement of that. So
that was quite...
Sorry, go on.
It was quite nice to watch, but I think Trevor McDonald sort of wanted him to go away after a while.
Oh, really? They were sort of the wrong pairing then, do you think?
Well, I don't know if it was wrong. I think it was just interesting.
Interesting. So anyway, we have Quinn and we have Eds now, do we? How you lads?
All right, Paul, what's the crack?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Yeah, what a day!
I thought you were going to be in the pub.
No, it didn't transpire. I was in the pub earlier, so
Well, that's
watching it.
all right then.
Watching it on the pub.
You're not getting withdrawal then. So do we have Quinn, or was Quinn? Is Quinn his video? No, Quinn.
I can hear you.
Hiya, Quinn. Yeah, your video's jumping a little bit. It's weird. We're gonna get it's like
Is the sound working?
It's psychedelic, yeah, but we have sort of
like a Chemical Brothers music.
we
video.
do, yeah. We sort of like there's a lot of visuals going on there.
1990s video glitch type thing.
Yeah, it's very prodigy.
Yeah.
It works quite well on the phone as well. Simple enough.
It is. So right. Anyway, I want to check you lads were there. We'll come to you very shortly, but I want to move on to Alan. So Alan, where are you?
Hey, I'm here.
Welcome to the podcast and your lovely Renfrewshire accent there. So you're from Paisley.
Well, I live in Paisley. I'm from Carluke originally and lived in Glasgow for 14 years, but now I live in Paisley.
Apparently, Paisley was the first place I lived. I didn't realize that, but my parents lived. I was born in Irvine. My parents lived in Paisley for the first 6 months of my life. So
it's a good place to be.
Better than Irvine. Yeah, better than Irvine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quinn, if that works, Quinn, that's fine. If you want to just try, maybe it's just some sort of corruption with the video, try that. So, Alan, you played Joe. The fourth and the fifth seed. So that's always the hardest one to call, isn't it? You're probably the most similar in terms of ability.
Yeah, I think we were. Joe did a nice job picking out a couple of words that I didn't see, and I got numbers that Joe didn't get, and it was quite a narrow margin. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun though. I had no issue losing to a player.
So you have quite a history on Countdown, have you not? You've been on before. Yeah, on Callum's series 69. He's always banging on about series 69. How great!
Yeah, I was on season 69, but I don't remember a huge deal about it. I remember the first couple of matches, and then a headache started to set in, and then I had a full-blown migraine by episode 4.
That's why, because Callum had poisoned everyone, you see, so he could have an easy route to the final.
I knew there was a reason he'd won.
Yeah.
But no, because I just couldn't remember it, as like Colin kept mentioning in the show, I wanted to go back. So I just hoped to go on and nick one win, and then when I turned up and seen Joseph Bartram sitting, I thought, oh shit, one win's going to be tough going here. Sugar, sorry.
I have that in my notes. You played our very own Joseph Bartram, who's a massively improved player since the first time he was on.
Yeah, hugely. He's a good player. His numbers game's quite average, but he's strong.
His letters are very good. No, his letters are very good. Yeah. So
when I got past him, it was just kind of walking on air from that point. It was great.
And how do you find the host? Did you have any different hosts, or I
just had Colin?
It was all Colin. Really.
I had Colin, and Colin was so enthusiastic. And I think while I was on, he hadn't had an Octo champ of his own yet, so he was very keen. And after 2 wins, he kept saying at the end of each episode, going, "Oh, he's going to be an Octo champ." And I'm like, "Colin, mate, piss off."
He doesn't like to put pressure on Colin, does he? No, he doesn't like to build it up now.
He is just building you up, though. It's not like not patronising or anything like that. He's just building you up. And I could actually feel the pressure, like episode 6, 7, and 8, because he wanted me to win more than I think I wanted to win.
Okay, right. But that's its own pressure in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is interesting, but he cares so much. He's so witty. I wish they could film the stuff off the episodes and they could do a little Colin after.
He's never stuck for something to say, is Colin, man.
He's so funny and witty. But
I had him as a DC guest. You see, when I was on, I had Nick.
Nice.
I had Colin as a DC guest, and he didn't shut up even during the rounds. Like, he'd be chatting all, right, Susie, I'm going to talk about this, right, and then you're going to come to me, right, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm like, Colin, I'm trying to do hard sums here. You shut up, like. But he doesn't take a breath. So
no, he's full of beans. He's just constantly going.
And I think that works for the people, for the contestants, doesn't it? It gives you a bit of a G up.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely made me feel like he made me feel so comfortable. I mean, Nick did as well, to be fair, but it was just a very different atmosphere. Nick had a very pleasant manner about him, very convivial, but Colin made you
Nick
feel
was
like
your
you were
dad
friends and you were
or
there
your
having a good
headmaster
time.
or something, wasn't it? It was more of a school teacherly vibe off Nick.
Absolutely. Like he wanted you to do well, but he was definitely just far more formal, Nick. And
There was no messing.
nice.
No messing with Nick. No, there was no messing. Yeah.
It was nice because at the time I was working in business and we were chatting about recruitment practices and stuff, but with Colin, we could chat about almost anything. He's such a really good knowledge about a variety of topics, actually. So it was great. He was good to chat with off screen.
Yeah. So tell me, here's a question Colin would ask it. Alan Coach Young, where's the coach from?
So I've coached flag football, which is non-contact American football, for a long time. And when I became a teacher, I had to do something to get kids off my Facebook. So sticking the coach in before the young just makes it harder to find me. And because I'm a flag football coach, that's it. I also coach the Great British
I've never heard of that. Okay, so it's touch American football, really? Then,
yeah, essentially, like it's American football, but you've got a belt and a flag on each side. It teaches.
That's very American. They probably like the touch bits, don't they? It's that's the bit we like. Really, it's the full contact.
Yeah, I mean that for most of them, but it's its own sport. It might be in the Olympics. So I've been coaching the GB team.
At the moment, then it's a kids kind of sport at the moment.
It was aimed at kids originally, but no, it's full worldwide. There's world championships. I coach the Great British team. Like there's a good amount of money growing behind it. There's a lot more people playing and stuff.
You're justifying that coach badge now, I have to say.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
The British national team. Wow.
I've got my European bronze medal. I'm going to bang on my coach stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. Have we got any dodgeball coaches or anything in here? So offer another balanced opinion. That's fascinating. That's very, very good. So, any regrets on your countdown journey, or was it all?
No, I think it all went as well as I could have expected. I think it was just one of those days. I feel I could beat Joe on another day. It just wasn't my day. But I'll tell you that the pressure and being under the lights is just different, because the moment I get the chance to sit up and have a chat with John Aziz and Tom and stuff in the green room when we watch the other matches, you see everything. Like you don't miss any of the obvious names. You don't miss.
It's easy in the armchair, isn't it? It's easy.
That's it. The numbers jump out at you, and you're like, "Oh, how are these guys not getting this?"
You can do them. You can do them in your head, can't you? You don't even need paper. But as soon as you have to actually write it down, you're like, how do you? Because I was never used to writing them down. I'm always just either typing it on Facebook or just saying it.
It's funny. I try and really not write it down until I've got anything. And I noticed I was at Edinburgh playing with Connor, and we're both the same. We were just sitting staring at the letters without writing anything down, because I don't know. It's just how you watch it. It's how you do it.
This is Connor as in the Connor
Travers. Yeah. So
we only have the one Connor really in the community. Everyone knows.
Yeah, I could have just
say Connor. Everyone knows. Yeah.
He's definitely the most countdown episodes of anybody. So he's the Connor.
He's the best, isn't he? He's the best. Callum. I think Callum, you were the only person to beat him on Zoom Down, weren't you?
Oh, really? Across all the.
Think who else beat him?
Look at Callum pretending he didn't know that.
I knew I beat him. I didn't know I was the only one. That's surprising.
But even you, Callum, would still admit he was like. He's still the best, isn't he? He's still the man.
I think there's probably a top four. There's three who deserve to be mentioned alongside Connor.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I think most people agreed at Connor's.
If you had to put money on it, you see, if you had to put your Yorkshire money if you had to get that Yorkshire wallet.
Yeah, I thought
that back pocket.
I saw a poll the other day for like the best footballer ever, and it was Messi, Ronaldo, Maradona, Pele. I think we've got a similar four.
It's Maradona.
Connor's the Messi.
Connor's the Maradona. You mean? Maradona. See, I think Messi. I know when we've moved off countdown here, but you see, my reason for choosing Maradona is because he won 2 titles with Napoli, who were nowhere. It's like going to Stoke. So Lewis, you're a Stoke fan, isn't it? Imagine it's like Messi going to Stoke and winning you 2 Premier Leagues in 4 years, without much further investment.
Naples is just like Stoke. Yeah.
But it was at the time. It was a mid to lower sort of table team.
be fair, it's difficult to compare players in these different eras because the sports science is so different now. Like Maradona would be going out drinking and stuff after those games, whereas I'm pretty sure Messi will be going into an ice bath with nutrition tablets and all sorts to see him through.
Maradona was just getting pain-killing injections to sort of... That's all he was, because he got kicked 100 times during the game. Like, you needed... Yeah, probably some morphine or something. You're not even probably allowed to play with the drugs he had in his system, whether they were pharmaceutical or recreational. I'd say.
If we're going off drinking capacity, then Connor's probably definitely more of a Maradona than a Messi.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. No, it was nice. It was nice. The World Cup was good. It was nice to see him win. But anyway, we're not here to discuss football much, as I would love to do that. So, Alan, thanks a million for that. Thanks a million.
No worries, pleasure.
Who do we have? But the only players that we didn't really have tonight were Darren, with the Dorenic spelling of Darren with the 1 R, and who was working, and Stephen Etherington. It would have been nice to get Stephen because he had such good interaction with Anne. It would have been nice to get him, but even Damien was saying he's just a hard man to contact. They had to contact his friend who would tell him to check his email. So that's the only way they could get him. But so anyway, we'll come to Quinn. Quinn, are you still here, or are you on the phone now, Quinn?
He said he went off to get food.
Oh, yeah. Was my picture not working?
Ah, okay.
At all.
Right. Well, then I suppose we'll come. Oh, you are, Quinn. You're here. So tell me, your man gives very little away. You've definitely got the poker face. I know you're the poker player. You've definitely got the face for the old poker. You're a hard face to read. So how did you enjoy your whole countdown experience?
Yeah, it was good fun, but like the whole in studio bit was a bit like rushed and sterile. Like it was quite. I wished that I was on it when they had the audience and everything. It's just a bit empty feeling.
So how many were in the audience then? Because it wasn't as bad as COVID, was it? It wasn't just like 5 cameramen.
Not far off that. I mean, a few extra people, probably like 10 staff, and your person you bring with you.
All right.
But,
listen, musicians know that's like your first gig, where you have friends and family in a big empty room. But that's better than no friends and family.
Oh yeah, it's all right, but I just think I would have enjoyed having an actual crowd there. How long has it been since they had an actual audience?
Series 83, probably series something like that.
Yeah.
March 2020, like.
Yeah.
What was that? That was middle of 83, was it? Series 83, 84?
Lost count.
Quinn, I agree. I think you can't beat the immediate feedback that you get from, and you spot a nice 8 or something like that. You get this amazing round of applause, and there's you can't beat that. It is fabulous. Callum, you must remember those spontaneous applauses.
Yeah. There was some because you can tell there's some where it hasn't been applause for a while. The cameramen try and get the applause going, but sometimes if you get a word and the audience start clapping before they're prompted to, then you're like, oh yeah, I'm impressed with them. So that's pretty cool. Because you can tell the difference between prompted applause and genuine.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really good. And Quinn, Quinn, do you play poker online or do you play it in venues? I mean, are you used to a crowd?
I used to play poker a lot more than I actually do now. But it's all online. Well, I've played live a few times, but it's really slow compared to online, and you have to wear clothes. So
you have to wear something on your bottom half. Yeah, you can't just put the t-shirt on. Yeah, but so tell me about your countdown history then. When did you first get into it? What's your earliest memory of the show?
I don't know. I guess just probably having a day off school and it being the best thing on daytime TV.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the golden era of kids TV as well in the 80s as well, when there was other options. There were good options to change over to, but I still liked my countdown. And did you see were you a numbers player? Were you a letters player?
I used to be really good I used to be much better at numbers than I am now.
when I was in school. Most of them were nice and easy. And because of that, I thought I didn't need to practice too much numbers wise. And then in my episodes, I did absolutely dreadful on numbers.
And how many years has it been since you were at school?
10. I'm 28. So
that's nothing. You see, once you get your 40s, it's like school's like a different lifetime ago.
Oh wait, no, I'm not 28. I'm 29.
29. Oh, imagine 29. Good age.
I've got to the age where you forget your age.
Yeah, I'd take it. I'd take 28, 29. No, those were good years. You're an adult, but you're still young enough. Yeah, you are. But you enjoyed the different hosts. Who did you have?
I had Les Dennis for for 3 episodes.
He was good. He was surprisingly good.
I can't actually remember. Did I have 3 or 5 of Les?
What did you make of him?
Well, it was just. I used to think about him. Was he catchphrase and no Family Fortunes? I used to watch a lot of Family Fortunes.
Yeah. Me too.
He was quite good as a host because I actually recognised him, which I think
he was probably one of the best hosts of Family Fortunes, really, after Bob Monkhouse, really. But I think he's a very natural. He's a nice man. At your ease.
To be honest, most of the Dictionary Corner guests and people like that, I don't recognise most of them. So it was quite nice to have a host stand in that I knew.
Okay, and so you had him, and then you had Colin.
Yeah. I like the fact that as a bit of countdown trivia, I have the most episodes with Les Dennis.
You did? Well, you had 3.
I think it was 5 actually. Yeah, it was 5. I think he did 10, and I was 5 of them.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, it's interesting. So, anyone here apart from Ed have Anne? No. Was it just Ed? Was it just you, and was it Steve that had
just
Anne?
Me and Steve, yeah.
We're pretty much fully into the post-Anne era now, I suppose.
Anyone else apart from Ed glad they didn't have Anne?
Oh, I wanted Anne.
Did you? Who said that? That was you, Quinn, was it?
Yeah.
Wanted Anne. Are you being facetious, or did you really want Anne?
Yeah, I wanted Anne. I thought it would be funny. I wanted to roast me a bit.
Had you prepared some comebacks just in case? Because I think that's what you do. If you knew you were going to be facing Anne Robinson, you'd have some material ready.
I did expect her to say something like, "When do you plan on getting a real job?"
Yeah.
And I might have said something like, "When do you plan on retiring?"
I said, "Well, I was in line to get yours before it was handed to you." Yeah. What I would have said, but anyway.
I just thought I'd tell you. Because did you say that you had 2 of the guest hosts, Joe? But then you had Colin in the series finals as well. So has anyone ever had 3 different hosts in one series? I don't think anyone will. Done. You might be the only person ever, Joe.
Oh, what an honour!
Yeah, in the one series, definitely. I think Connor's the only one to have 4.
Yeah, over the span of
over a long time,
years, not a few months. So yeah, 3 hosts in one series. That's pretty good going.
So Joe, yeah, you could write online reviews really of the hosts now. You've had quite a few, haven't you?
Yeah, it was a bit strange having Colin just for the finals, really, because I suppose most other people had already experienced having him in there, and obviously he knows the show a lot better.
He's been on. A lot of us have had him as your man in Dictionary Corner. He's been on so many times. I mean, myself, George, someone else, Callum in our group, definitely someone else had him. We've been on quite a few times. So he was sort of kind of time furniture, but he settled into the host role nicely.
Yeah, no, I really like him as host. I think it's good to have someone who understands it. And there's been a little bit of talk about the sort of making it too competitive, and when he chimes in sort of round 13 saying, "Oh, this person's already won," I think it's quite nice just to have a nod to that and to say, "Look, this is a competition at the end of the day, and these people are competing at the highest level, and it's good to know when you have won and to know that it's still a contest, really."
Yeah, I think my only concern was when you basically have a really hot cup of tea and he goes yes, and you're like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. See, you get used to the host like Nick, where there's none of that. You're never going to spill your tea under Nick. But yeah, Colin, you have a much, much higher chance of spilling your hot tea all over yourself now. Which is good. So anyway, Eddie, how are you?
Oh, sorry, just off my phone. There we go.
You just dropped your phone. Well, we'll come to you then as you pick up your phone.
I got. Yeah.
So anyway, are you over the final yet?
Ah, yeah.
I know you wanted to win. I know you wanted to win, but are you actually over it yet?
Oh God, well, yeah, I'm over 2 months ago. Look, just to get there, like, I mean, you know, I remember coming back from school as a kid, I used to watch Countdown at my grandmother's house, like, every day after school, and that was what got me into it, like. And I remember seeing Julian Fell, like, in the finals, say, when I was much younger and stuff, and just going home and knowing, like, you know, the Countdown finals were on, I really enjoyed it at the time, and then to be in it, you know, 15 years later, it's very surreal.
You're definitely one, you know, no offense to anybody else, but I don't think anyone would disagree. Ed's a very memorable player from this series. I think with your interactions with Anne.
Yeah.
Your shirts and the fact you're Irish and having a bit of having banter with Rachel and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there must be a lot of positives you can take from it.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it would have been nice if myself and Tom got separate series or something like that. But then who wants to see Argentina trash Morocco in the World Cup final? Like, you know, everyone likes a good game. And I think we did that today. You know, I was down and dead and buried. And then there was a bit of a comeback and it looked quite possible. I actually got the last 4 large numbers today in the time, but
pesky 4 large pickers, like, you know,
yeah,
that's 4 for me. I'll never like 4 large. I will never ever like it.
There was that trick to get today's numbers. You could have done 100 times 50 and then taken the 25 and divided it by 5, and then you're at 985 and you subtract 4. Yeah. I saw that in the 30 seconds, but I just thought, okay, I've only ever pulled this off once. I've messed it up about 10 times.
You have 2 months to think that.
Go on, Callum. Sorry, what are you saying?
In 30 seconds, you have 2 months to think of that, Ed. You can't claim that as in the time.
But you see, Callum, I don't even think of those in 30 seconds. You see that, you know, you 4 large players think of the trick and how to do it in the 30 or maybe in the first sort of 5 seconds. Whereas I don't. It would be 15 to 20 seconds before I would even be thinking of that route. I'm not a 4 large player, and I think you must have to do a lot of 4 large to train yourself into that way of thinking. Ed.
Yeah, you know, I've always picked 4 large. I had the handheld game as a kid, and I always picked 4 large then. I don't know if it was because I was greedy or something like that, and I wanted loads of large numbers, but I've always picked them anyway.
I'm more an arithmetician, really. You see, I like my factors and things like. I love my 6 small, love a 1 large. I love a difficult 1 large.
I hate 6 small, and in the semi against Quinn, there was that 6 small where I got 912 and I was 3 away. And
you never added the 3.
Well, what happened was I was just nowhere near. I was nowhere near till 29 seconds, and I was just like, hold on a minute, if you multiply 57 by 16, you get somewhere. So I declared 912 not written down.
I didn't realize you had the 3. Yeah.
Colin says to me off camera, don't let that wreck your nerves now. I'm like, oh man, I'm delighted I got 7 points. So I was expecting that.
You're not a man prone. You're not a man prone to the nerves. I mean, Callum and I were talking just before we came on air there, and Callum, he's won. You know, he's won a couple of co-events, hasn't he? Always in the mix.
Are you talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was directed to Callum, but yeah.
Yeah. We were saying how you've had your experience in co-event finals and stuff before. You've won. How many have you won now? Like 3 or 4, I think.
Don't know. Does Waterford count?
Yes.
It counts. We've got Tom Carey on the call now. He will.
3.
Hey, Mouse. Hey. It's Christmas. We know it's Christmas. We got the mouse on here now. We got
Merry Christmas, internet.
Waterford.
Yeah, I no longer have to claim that Waterford counts because I've won events outside of Waterford now. But yeah, no, of course it counts. Yeah, and you won 3 in a row, Waterford. And then you won like a Lincoln one as well, right? I
Lincoln
think.
Hangover, and I considered that I won York because that was
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you've got
dodgy
the medal
ball.
to prove it. You've got the medal to prove it.
He's not a draw.
No,
You'd
I
want
lost
out,
the
is
medal
he?
on the night out. I lost the medal on the night out.
You lost it.
That is classic Ed.
He's not a draw that you'd want at a co-event. If you drew Eddie, you'd be like, "Ah, balls."
Yeah, no.
Tough gig, you know. So anyway, we will chat to our new Countdown Series 86 champion, Tom Stevenson.
Hi, Paul.
How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. Well, here, listen, it's not about me, man. You're the man of the moment. How are you feeling? How was that watching it back today? I mean, you've known for a little while now, but how does it actually feel when it sinks in that you actually are Countdown champion now?
Well, it was great fun to watch it this afternoon. We had a rather private affair with just my parents and my sister watching it at home. But we had some fears and some cakes and whatnot, and sat in front of the TV and watched it. And I had a few group chats that I created as well. So I was messaging those.
It's busy, isn't it? So you don't really get a moment.
Attention to what people have been writing and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but it feels very good because it took me quite a while to get onto the show, so I was just happy to be on.
So how
that again?
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, that's fine. Yeah, your internet's a little.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly well. Just your internet's a little iffy tonight, so I know there's a little.
Yeah, no, sorry about that.
It's a little bit
living in
going to our sort of Washington correspondent over the satellite link tonight. There's a little bit of a delay, but how did you feel about playing Ed? You knew that was going to be a tough game, didn't you?
Yeah, it was going to be a tough game, and it was 50-50. It could have gone either way, really. I was just happy to be there, and there was some, as people have mentioned earlier on tonight, there was great camaraderie amongst the finalists as well. All of the finalists that I met were all great people and good to be around. And Ed, we spent a fair amount of time, didn't we? We went to the bar alongside Alan and John and our guests and Chris Marshall as well the night before, and had a bit of a social and whatnot. But yeah, no, it was. I knew I was going to be in for a tough game, but I was very tactical, and thankfully, tactics did manage to pay off.
You were fooling nobody with your I'll try a 7 or I'll try an 8. I was like, yeah. He's got a nice safe. He's got a nice safe 7 right there. I'll just try this. I'll try that. I know those tactics.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
But the whole thing is you want to come across well, don't you, on Countdown? You don't want to come across as a dickhead. Nobody wants that.
Oh gosh, yeah. I was very paranoid about coming across as a dickhead.
Losing and being seen as a nice guy is way better than, say, winning and being a dickhead. No, none of us would want that. And it's I think that comes through in the show, and everyone's definitely on their best behavior. You realize you're on the telly. You might never be on the telly again. You got to sort of preserve it for posterity, don't you, as well?
Very much so, yeah.
And tell me, you're not a co-event regular. Have you ever been to a co-event?
I've never been to a co-event before. It has been something that I thought about, but I live out in the back of Beyond. And
some of the co-events are there. They're actually, there is back of Beyond, isn't there, Callum? I think that's in
it's going
in the calendar for next year.
Yeah. But it has been difficult for me to get to these events. But I was filming for the Champion of Champions back in November, and my opponent was Adam Latchford. And me and Adam were talking and whatnot and spending some time with himself and Coral. And he was trying to get me to go to the co-rugby event that he's co-hosting next year. So if I can, sort out
your closest one, would that be the closest event to you?
Well, I think there's been the odd event in Birmingham, hasn't there? I don't know about last year. But yeah, one that's effectively in West Midlands would be closest to me.
So well, we do hope to see you. We do hope to see you at some. It'd be nice to be having to draw in Tom at a co-event. Wouldn't it, Callum?
Yeah,
see if you can do it on a wet Wednesday night at Stoke, and all that.
Yeah. We are hoping to do Birmingham again next year. I think it's going to be in August if all goes to plan. So, yeah, hopefully see you there.
So, Tom, tell me before we move on, because we do want to preview the COC tonight, as well as just sort of clearing up some of the results of the co-events. Tell me, did your experience on Zoom Down help you, Tom, when it came to?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing.
You don't have to say that now. I'd rather you're honest.
Oh no. But I did. It did definitely help me. I mean, beforehand, I'd never had any experience of playing Countdown in live competitive fashion, if you know what I mean. It's a bit different in the sense that, when you're playing online, let's say, then there isn't like a video or anything like that.
To add the pressure, or an annoying host to kind of get the nerves up. Yeah. Well, that's good. No, that's good that it's helped, because that was part of the whole thing of what we were trying to do, Callum, I suppose, wasn't it, as well? It's nice to know that.
Yeah, it's good. Like I said, I think before, the only thing that could really prepare you for it was maybe some co-event experience, but I think Zoom Down is that one step closer. So you can have experience of playing in tournaments on Actress, but that's not really the same as playing in a co-event final or whatever. That's probably not the same as playing in a competitive level on Zoom Down, because then you've got the whole broadcast element and the presentation element,
and your peers and an audience of your peers as well,
yeah,
which can be
Zoom Down, best experience for Countdown, I suppose.
Excellent. So speaking of audience, I know I'm frozen there, but do we have any audience in tonight? Are they anyone?
Yeah, there's been a good few people in the chat.
Have they got any questions for our two finalists?
I'm sure they can start sending some in. Let me see if they've already been one. There's a question that's probably for you, Paul. Jay Butler asks, are we having a Series 5 of Zoom Down?
Well, that's an interesting question. If you asked me 6 months ago, I would have said no. Now, I think part of the reason for that is we kind of had exhausted, not all of the community, but we'd exhausted most of the community that we had contact details for. But now it's kind of a series and a half later. It's changed. You get a fresh batch of players coming through. You get there's names now. We know Quinn. We never knew Quinn before. We know Alan. We know Joe. I mean, apart from the two finalists, we didn't really know most of you guys before. So that. Do you not think that makes a difference in terms of having a fresh batch of players, maybe to?
Absolutely, yeah, it keeps things fresh. See it just being the same players all over and over again. So
that's why we did the COC, was to sort of close off those four series that we did, was to see, then who's the best of those four series, and it came down to Connor and Elliot, didn't it, at the end of it? So it's
just checking the other questions, other than one asking about who's the best footballer and countdowner. Assuming to mean at the same time, I vote John O'Neill.
Is he okay? Right. Well,
yeah, he's quite good at both.
His name is on many balls as well. Now, I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean, it's O'Neill being Gaelic football.
And we've got a question here for one of our chaps here. We've got a question from Andres. He says, genuine question for Ed. Did you enjoy Anne or Colin more during your journey?
Oh, I'd say equally. What I really liked about Anne is that she, you get to know a lot more about the contestants under Anne. So I really relished all the banter with her. But say you were there with Nick before, I'm just Edward Byrne from Butcher's Town, and I'm declaring 7, 8, 9 letter words. Whereas with Anne, I'm doing that, but you get to know that I'm a record collector and a civil servant, and that I have various experiences in life, and I'm afraid of birds and whatever, and there's a good bit of banter. So I really like that. And I know people will say Anne was quite unpopular and all that, and yeah, there was quite an atmosphere in the studio between her, Rachel and Susie. It clearly wasn't working out, But I liked, certainly for me, I think in my Octo run, it was good that I had Anne because I got more of myself on the TV and I really liked that. But Colin, I really liked as well. Like, I mean, I spoke to him a lot off the camera, which I really liked.
I think, cut a long story short, Anne fancied you, Colin didn't really. Probably the short answer, isn't that it?
Oh, I don't know. The Colin didn't fancy me.
No, but Anne definitely did. No, she liked.
I loved the bit where they're like, where Rachel's like, I think she's flirting with you again.
She was.
That was good. And I'm like, yeah, she wishes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, she did. She was like, oh, I like him. I like a cheeky Irishman. That's what she liked.
But with Colin, I think I was filming the start of Champion of Champions, perhaps. And I was just sat there and we had there was maybe some kind of a delay or something. I'd been waiting for Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just sitting there talking to him for about 10 minutes. I genuinely was so at ease. I felt like I was in a pub with him or something like that.
He's a great conversationalist, is Colin. Now he is. There's never going to be an awkward silence. And
he doesn't leave the studio in between filming episodes often. He just stays there.
And Anne did. As soon as the episode was, she was gone.
They all leave the studio and get changed, but he'd literally bring his next shirt down with him and just switch and sit there and listen to the music. And he smoked his vape in between rounds as well.
Colin did, right?
Yeah, even in between takes and whatnot. Yeah.
It's
great.
Man after me.
I really liked him.
A man after my own heart. So, any other questions before we move on? Sorry.
We had a question for Quinn. I think this is Andres again, actually. So where did Quinn get his practice on the letters? Some incredible 9s he pulled out.
So, Quinn, you weren't an Apterite then?
I was under a good name.
All right, okay, right.
So
path that.
Before even finding Apterus, I was doing stems myself. I found that incoherency website, but then I realised that loads of words are missing.
Quite a shy, yeah.
Yeah, dreadful. And eventually I found Apterus, and I did lots of stemness.
That's not valid.
But not enough actual games because I missed some easy 7s against Ed, like hernias and tinnies and stuff like that. So I needed more actual game experience to get the 7s and
So do you use an Android phone, Quinn, or do you use iPhone or something? Because there's a really great countdown app for Android that's made by Jack Hurst. It's free and everything, and it's really good.
Yeah, I did download that eventually, but my other problem is that I would be really into Countdown for a week, and then I'd just get bored and stop playing for a couple of months.
And what else?
So,
what do you do when you're not playing Countdown then? Because that's the question I'm always interested in. What do you do when you're a Countdown fan, but what do you do when you're not doing Countdown?
Well,
we know about poker. We know about the poker, but it sounds like there's more.
Getting pestered by bastard cats. But I don't know.
Prodigy-esque videos.
I wish. No, various gambling exploits that have somehow taken over playing poker.
Gambling. My wife tries to get me to gamble, and I'm like, I had called the final of the World Cup right up until Mbappe scored that last goal. I was like, that's why you don't gamble, you see, because you could have a perfect, it's all working. No, something spoiled it. Got
to use those free bets.
Yeah, they're just a hook. That's just your free samples from your drug dealer, isn't it? That's all that is. Yeah, just to get you hooked. Get you hooked in. But anyway, lads, it's been absolutely brilliant chatting to all of you. I want to move on there. Because some of our players here tonight, the two finalists, you guys are in the Champion of Champions, and if you're like me, you're completely unspoiled, which is the only way to experience this Countdown game. I hated being spoiled, Callum, for my own series. Hated it. I know it was my own series, and obviously I'm going to know what's happening, but it kind of spoiled my Countdown watching because I hated knowing what happened. So are you unspoiled for the Champion of Champions, or do you know a little bit?
No, I had an informant in the green room or whatever it was that they had there.
Oh, were you there for filming?
No, I wasn't there, but I had someone who was there was texting me all the information. So yeah, I do.
Is he on this call? Do we know him? Yeah, is he on the call? Is that him?
He was on this call earlier. I think he's dropped off since.
Oh, is he dropped off? Right. Okay.
Obviously, we won't be discussing spoilers for Champions today. We'll talk about the draw.
No. Yeah, sure. So whip out the draw there. You have the draw, I think, there somewhere, don't you?
Yeah. So I don't think you guys on the call will be able to see it, but I'll pop it on the screen.
You can talk your way through it then, maybe.
See it. I think they should be able to see it now. Yeah. So I'll talk you guys through it. So game is this in order? Let's have a look. Game 1, I think. I can't even tell if that's in order now because it's not in low resolution on my little preview. The guys watching will be able to see. I'll see if I can get a better image at my end.
But anyway, I think we've 14 of them had been on Zoom Down. So I've 14 Zoom Down alumni.
Oh, no, that is good going.
14. I think the only ones were Matt O'Connor, who we really wanted. But was working.
Point, doesn't it, Paul?
We did, yeah. We pretty much had got everyone. I think the only two are Matt O'Connor and Steve Hyde.
Yeah,
Leo Smith, maybe.
Leo, that's another one. 13 then. Okay, 13. Yeah.
So the first game is Florence Kappelman Lines versus Leo Smith. Then the next game we've got Dinos versus Elliot. It's the rematch of the
classic. That must have been fixed, surely.
Then the next game we've got Ahmed versus Ed.
Ooh. Tough draw there, Ed. Tough draw.
Yes. The worst possible scenario.
Yeah, it's probably one of the 3 or 4 that you didn't want. Definitely, yeah.
Then we've got what I think is an absolutely cracking matchup. It's James Horton versus Stu Harkness.
Ooh, I don't know who to support in that one. My Series 81 compatriot, but I like Stu as well. You see, I like Stu, yeah. But I've beaten Stu more than I've beaten James, so I think I want Stu to win.
Then another great matchup. We've got our very own Tom against Adam Latchford.
Oh yes. Okay, there's a clash of styles there, isn't there?
Yeah.
The unassuming versus the assuming, whatever the opposite of unassuming is.
Then we've got Luke Johnson Davis versus Martin May.
That's a baptism of fire for Martin, isn't it? He hasn't been around for a while.
Yeah, now he's got to come back to face. What was the nickname we gave Luke? The Killer Bite or something?
Killer Bite, yeah. The Killer Bite.
Killer Bite. Then it's Steve Hyde versus Dan Byram.
Steve, yeah, I liked Steve now. I have to say, I liked watching him. Was he previous series? Yeah, he was, yeah.
You think so? Yes. I just lost it. Let me just refine.
Sorry, Steve Hyde is playing. Who would you say his opponent was?
Dan Byram.
Dan. Okay, right. That's tough. But Steve was good. Dan's a very practiced player. That's maybe Steve. Well, Steve has had time to do the bit of practice, I suppose. But Dan's you wouldn't want to be playing Dan either.
Yeah, so then we've got after that it's then Matt O'Connor versus Sam Kappelman Lines.
Ooh.
I think that's the last of the opening heat games.
And those two are at their peak very similar. Depends whereabouts in their journey they are, I suppose. Sam was very, very good a couple of years ago. Very much
actress in the months running up to filming, so
he did get the practice then, did he?
Pretty ominous at the time of filming, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So people watching the display will be able to see how that goes in the bracket in terms of who might.
Is there a seeding column? Is there an unofficial
seeding as such, but it's a set bracket. So the winner of game X will play the winner of game Y. So obviously, without spoiling anything, obviously, because I've actually heard what the results are of this, but one particularly interesting one that I think caught everyone's eye when they first saw it was that if Florence Kappelman Lines and Sam Kappelman Lines were both to win their first round game, they would play each other in the quarterfinal. So
and who minds the babies?
That's the question.
Yeah. Granny, I suppose Granny.
If that was to happen, then Matt O'Connor and Leo Smith would be free because they'd have just been knocked out. So maybe they're on babysitting.
Yeah. Well, it was difficult. You see, it was difficult for Flo and Sam on Zoom down because I wanted to get them on, but that was literally the issue. Who would look after the kids when we're both playing? So yeah, no, it's shaping up. It's been too long since the last one. It's you don't think it should be every 4 series or every something like that, every 6 series, which is 3 years. It should be every 3 years.
I think
really,
what's
shouldn't
interesting
it?
about this one actually, and we've got the perfect guys on to talk about it, is I think it's normally when there's a champion of champions, the series that immediately precedes it skips and they go into the next champion of champions. But I think that's how it normally happens anyway. But this time round, Ed and Tom, you guys have just filmed your series final. We can talk about that now because you obviously we've just been talking about that. And then when was it? Like a week later or something? You were
2
back.
weeks later. So I hadn't even been over for the finals, and I knew I was going to be in the Champion of Champions.
That's what it was, Ed. Because I remember chatting to you about it, and I was like, "No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers." But you were saying, "Yeah, well, I'm already booked in for champions." Yeah.
Joseph Barton was number 8 seed, and he was going to upset me in the quarterfinal, and then I was still going to be in the Champion of Champions. Like,
yeah, it's weird, that wasn't it? Yeah.
Well,
very, very weird.
For me, the draw was revealed before my episodes had actually aired. So it was, revealed to the contestants. So I assume some people who weren't in the know saw my name on the draw and they were like, "Who on earth is he?"
Yeah. Oh, no, they'll have seen you on Zoom down, Tom. No,
yeah, or they might have been spoiled, Tom. They were like, "Oh, he won, did he?" I was still playing catch up. He won. Oh, so he obviously does well then.
Well, that was the thing, was because I think I was very good, at least, at keeping it quiet from people. But whenever I said to somebody, "Oh, I'm also going up to film the Champion of Champions," they were automatically under the assumption that I'd won the series or something like that, or I'd made the grand final. So I had to clarify and say, "Oh, but I was invited to do the Champion of Champions before I filmed for the series finals."
Well, it's definitely stacked. I mean, the fact that they haven't had one in a while, it's a stacked COC, isn't it? So, and we'll maybe get some of you on at the end of January, maybe to talk about that whenever that's over, maybe just before Colin. We'll see how the mood takes us then. But it's shaping up to be a good one, Callum. I suppose the only other thing, Callum, maybe we should do before one other piece of business is the co-event finals. Now, as I say, I was on my break, so you'll have to fill us in what happened there.
The finals was good. They were in Milton Keynes this year. Because we had they've normally been in the West Midlands, so Birmingham or Wolverhampton, they were in once. But we already had an event in Birmingham this year, so we brought Focal back to Milton Keynes, where we've not been since 2019, and it went really well. The venue was great. I think everyone enjoyed the event, and the winner of the Focal finals in the end was Jack Hurst, and so he actually qualified as 9th seed because Ed was in the top 8 seeds. But couldn't make it on the day. So Jack got Ed's place and ended up winning the whole thing because he was definitely the best player on the day. I think, so he won 6 out of his.
He didn't have the minimum number of tournaments. He hadn't played that many tournaments.
He only played 6 events, whereas weirdly, everyone else in the top 8 had played at least 8 events, which is the most that can count towards your score.
But Jack had done well at all the events that he had gone to, hadn't he? Yeah,
6 or 7, but both him and Thomas Kappelman, who was the 8th seed, had only played 7, I think it was then, but still managed to get in. And those two ended up in the final. The special thing about Jack's performance was the way it works. The top 8 play a round robin, so you play all 7 of the other top 8. So you get games. The only one that Jack didn't beat, because he got 6 wins out of 7, was TCAP, and then he beat TCAP in the final. So he turned up to the Vocal finals and beat all 7 of the rest of the top 8. So you can't do much better than that, really.
Well,
he got a max game in the final. Yeah. Just top stuff, very deserving winner.
Jack is a countdown legend. He is. He's God level player, isn't he? So he's in that top echelon.
Yeah. Shout out to TCAP as well, though. That was his second Focal Grand Final. He's the first person ever to do that. First person ever to reach the Focal Grand Final twice.
So he's looking at a win the next time. Then you think?
Yeah, third time.
Hasn't won enough for his talent, has he? You see, Tom. He's been in and around the sort of.
Radar, Tom. When we talk about all the best players,
he goes under the radar a lot, but he's very good.
He's just consistent. He's in like the top 5 or 6 at everything he ever does. He's like, you know, so maybe he doesn't get that number 1 spot as often as some of the other guys, but he's just never far from it.
And he's a draw no one wants as well, because they know he could give them a hiding.
So a top player, but on the day, Jack was the guy. There's no doubt in that. Very well deserving champion. Rob Foster cleaned up in the Open as well, so he didn't actually.
Why was Rob not in the Focal finals?
He had one fewer event than Jack, and
I didn't qualify, right? Okay.
So you had, if you looked at average points gains per event, Rob was in the top 3 with Jack Worsley, who had played the same amount of events as Rob, I think, or one less, but they were still averaging like 900 and something points per event, with the maximum being 1,000.
Right.
And the other one in the top 3 of average points per event actually was Alan Young, just because he only came to one event and finished second. So
right, average finishing position, eh? Wow.
Average, yeah. But yeah, so Rob was first reserve. If none of the finalists had made it on the day, then Rob would have taken their place. He had a close call as well, because one of our finalists was like 2 minutes later, I think. So we very nearly had Rob enter the top 8, and that could have. But
as we said earlier, they never kind of, they never break a leg last minute, whatever. They always seem to make it to their game, don't they? You never get a reserve. Rob's way too good to be a reserve for anything as well. So
yes, but I suppose Jack got in sort of as a reserve. We just knew in advance that he was going to get in, because Ed had very kindly told us in advance that he wasn't going to be able to make it.
So Jack Worsley had missed a few events or something, had he?
Yeah, I think he only came to like 5 or something over the course of the season, whereas Jack did 7 and Rob did 6, I think, and everyone else did 8 or more. I won't say everyone else, I mean of the finalists other than TCAP. So yeah, Jack obviously had a very good average, because I think out of his 5 events he had like 2 wins.
Yeah, he's always in and around, isn't he? Yeah, but
yeah, so he's pretty good. Yeah.
It has been good. No, it's been good to see Jack Hurst going to more events and stuff like that as well, because he's top player, but he's always got too many excuses. Oh no, I can't go to that, it's too far away and all that. But it's nice to see him traveling.
Yeah, I say we've not really seen him at many events for years, really. But last couple of years, he seems to have really got back into it. Obviously, he's released his app. Did the Christmas special with me. That was great to be able to share the stage with him. Now
maybe that was it. Maybe that was the trigger. You see the. Yeah. He's a media whore, you see. Got him the telly. Went, I like that. I like seeing my mug.
Co-events, he got to, I think it was like a gradual increase, because he got to the final at Manchester. Then he won in Brighton, I think. Then he won the big one at MK in the final. So yeah, he's done it all this year. I hope he continues coming to some events next year. We'd love to see him there. We definitely think he'll come out for the go down one, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, when is that? Is that Leeds? Are you doing that one?
Yeah, it's Leeds. It's April 15th off the top of my head, I think.
I will work for that one. I will.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like 15th.
Decent to go town as well, so I might have a bit of a chance in that one. Right, I think we're done, lads. I think we're done. That's an hour and a half tonight. Time flies, doesn't it? We had a lot of people on tonight, so it was great to hear from everyone. They've all gone off to do their Christmas shopping or have more Christmas drinks, but so we're left with the old team.
Yeah, it's the 3 of us.
The 3 of us, exactly. The 3 who started it, really. Yeah, so
stretching it to call the 3 wise men.
3 wise men.
There's about half a wise man between us.
Yeah. A stroke my beard. I don't have a beard, so I'll stroke Santa's beard.
Nice.
Right. Okay. Well, we will wrap it up. We'll say thanks a million. We will be back, I suppose, in the new year. We're not sure what exactly yet, but we have podcasts to do, Callum. We have other people to do. We have other famous people to do. And we just have to organize when we want to do that. And we'll see about a Zoom down mouse. We don't know. See if we have a crop.
Well, I'm sure we'll figure it out. But yeah.
But anyway, happy Christmas
Cool.
to everyone. And
Bye.
it's been a great 2022. Been a very interesting 2022. All these countdown presenters and guest presenters and terrible presenters and good presenters. Enough about presenters, eh?
Yeah,
It's
it's
all
the as you always say, Paul, it's the contestants that make the game, and
It is.
as we've seen tonight, we've heard from a few of them. We've
Yeah.
had some good ones this year.
And all we're left with now is 3 presenters here that we're going, yeah, okay, all the contestants have buggered off, so maybe we should.
We're players as well, though, aren't we?
We're players, yeah. We're players. Right, lads, have a great Christmas.
That's just the word.
Have a great one.
Cheers, you too.
We'll be chatting to you over the holidays at some point, I'm sure. But best wishes to your families and all that, and have a good one. And we'll see you in the new year, 2023.
See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
Bye.